Okay, yeah.
That was in February. I think it was 22, 23 of 2020.
Okay.
And so, yeah, that was definitely a lifetime, once in a lifetime type of experience. And hello to our friends out there in the interwebs. My name is Don Farrell, one of the co-founders of Actors Theater of Indiana. Thank you so much for spending some of your lunch break with ATI here today. And I am here with my dear friend Tom Alvarez, who I'm sure many of you have seen around town, one of the biggest supporters of arts and creators of arts and management of arts and of arts. Tom Alvarez of on is it on the aisle with Tom Alvarez, and also he's done. This gentleman is a journalist. He's a producer, a director, an Emmy award-winning documentary filmmaker, arts administrator, TV contributor, actor, model, writer, and lyricist. Holy moly! When do you sleep?
Sometimes I tell people, it's a little embarrassing because sometimes when people ask me, well, what do you do? And, I then go on to list the different jobs that I've had, if you will. And then I hear myself and I think, God, you sound like Forrest Gump. Yeah, I really did do all those things. But, then there's the old thing about, jack of all trades and a master of none. Is that what they think?
No.
But no, I'm very grateful because people ask me, where do you get all that energy? And I said, well, I equate the energy with the positivity because I'm immersed in the world of the arts. How can I not be positive?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So important. And isn't that, we keep saying this year after year after year, decade after decade, the arts are needed now more than ever, but it just seems like it is, right? It always is. Boy, when we were going through the shutdown, right before we went live, we were talking about ATI's collaboration with the Center for the Performing Arts and the Carmel Symphony Orchestra and the Indy Choir, and it just an amazing experience. But how, then we shut down and going through the arts, how the arts helped us all through the pandemic. I mean, could you imagine going through that shutdown without any art whatsoever?
I think for years, people in the arts, yourself included, I think a lot of us hope that eventually people or our culture would connect that, art is everywhere. It's not just in theaters. I mean, it's like in design, it's all around you. And then I think COVID, in a way, really zeroed in on that connection. People realized without art, how awful it would have been if there hadn't been streaming, the actors, the writers, everyone who created that work that we saw on streaming or television, since we couldn't get out to see live performance or live theater. So I like to think, don't you, that COVID, in a good way, created this new awareness, or at least this this awareness of the connection between art and the quality of life.
Yeah, I agree. I think that there's a little bit more, hopefully not to be taken for granted. Whether I think the mindset initially is, it's such a luxury for art.
Exactly.
As opposed to it's a necessity for art.
Exactly.
And we see the impact of that in the school system and kids, and how the arts helps kids in a social.
And remember the term that was coined during COVID, essential workers, how important they are. People began to realize that artists, in fact, are essential workers.
Yeah. So it's a noble business we do. So cheers to cheers to the arts and the artists and the administrators. So you also, I mean, you've been doing this said 40, but you said 40. How many years have you been in the arts?
I came to Indianapolis in the early 70s. I want to say 71 or 72.
Well, where'd you come from?
And I was telling your producer, director, that I came here to work in television. So I started out in TV as a producer, director. I was on camera, actually. That's a long story, but that's how I came here, to be in television. But I went to IU in Fort Wayne. Purdue Indiana Theater no longer exists with that particular name, but At the time, it was a brand new campus, or a new, shall we say, we called it super high, because there was one new building, and the campuses or the universities were combined. But there were three very visionary. They were in their 30s at the time. All of them who had trained on the East Coast, Carnegie Mellon, and a couple of other really great theater schools. So they started a theater program, and that's where I discovered the arts and theater. And I went to school there, and then I dropped out, moved east for a couple of years, and then through a series of fortunate coincidences, and it was, being at the right place at the right time, I met a mentor who was involved in an advisory committee for Channel 6, and at the time they were seeking people of color to be on the air, and specifically a Latino, and I'm Mexican American, and so my mentor heard me talking about my, I had planted, a seed had been planted in the back of my head that broadcasting might be an option, since I hadn't finished my theater degree. So through a series of lucky, it was luck and being the right place at the right time, having someone who saw something in me I didn't. I landed an interview and an audition at Channel 6, and they put me on the air, and then I found myself in a control room one day and realized that that's where the creativity was happening, and so that's what started my TV career, and I did that for 15 years at Channel 6.
That's amazing.
So that's what started my tenure here in Indianapolis, and I've been here ever since.
That's awesome. Yeah, and luck isn't. They also say luck is also when preparation meets opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. But I believed then, and I believed ever since that one must seize the day.
Yeah.
Take advantage of your opportunities. And I was a pretty driven young man. I was pretty fearless, I would say. So,
That can get you. That can get you far with that. It's how interesting that fear will keep us from being able to grow in so many ways.
Well, I think looking back, I mean, there were so many things I did. I have a problem looking at old work, for instance. Some of the early TV work I did, I look at it, it's like, oh my God. But that's a good thing.
Yeah,
look at my past laurels. Have you?
That commercial.
You look at all these wonderful shows that you've been in, you've done in, but you don't live in that, do you?
No, it's a nice little nostalgic to be able to look at different memories and eat, like the show we were talking about, the different shows that are on the walls here as show posters or production photos from past shows that we have. And just as I'm getting older, I was telling Tom, it just helps me remember what the heck we did when as I'm getting older. But each of them, there is a nice little memory associated with each one.
And I reviewed most of them.
Yeah.
So, it just brings back just so many wonderful moments of being in the theater.
Yeah, 18 years. You can pack in a lot in 18 years.
It's been, from my point of view, it's been just really gratifying to see, your history unfold, and when you started and where you are right now. And, because I've been around for such a long time, I've seen that. Yeah, IRT's in its 50th year. DK is in its 35th or whatever.
Oh, David Hochul.
And,
oh my gosh.
So I've been around long enough. I mean, I'm an old timer, and so I've been around for all this.
We're lifers. I like to call them we're lifers.
Yeah. I'm a lifer. I'm proud to wear that mantle.
Yeah. And so you've seen the whole art scene of Indianapolis really continue to grow, and the ups and downs, those that have come and gone and what have you. What stands out to you over the 45 years that you've seen in the art scene of Indianapolis, the central Indiana area?
I've seen how, I was an original board member and founder of the Phoenix Theater. That gives me this perspective of the possibilities, and I have been able to see a continuum of how anybody can this is a really great startup community, and it's not just business, the arts. This is a place where you can that you can create a dream and you can sustain it. Look what you guys have been able to do. But you look at the Phoenix Theater, you look at Indiana Repertory Theater, you look at Dance Kaleidoscope. These are organizations that started as just very small organizations, and look, now they're institutions.
Yeah.
So, that's pretty gratifying for me to have experienced all that, particularly the Phoenix, because when Brian Fonseca, I had met him doing shows, acting in some of his shows at Broadway Playhouse, and at that time, he was a freelancer technically. But when he decided to start his own theater, he gathered some people around him, invited them to someone's home, and it was there that he pitched his idea for this theater and asked us all if we would help him, start this company, and that's how I was there when the germ of the idea.
That's pretty exciting.
Yeah, and then to now walk into this multi-million-dollar edifice now, and knowing how it began, that's, and of course as a reviewer, I was going to American Cabaret, it was in the cabaret space, which became American Cabaret Theater, the Athenaeum. That's where the IRT, that was its first home. And now 50 years later, Janet Allen, is retiring. And so it's been a great ride to observe these arts organizations. So your original question was,
what stands out to you over these past 45 years?
Just the growth of the arts. And when I came here, as I said, I came here from Fort Wayne, Indiana, but I briefly took I lived in Washington, D.C. for a couple of years before I moved here. And, I have to admit, when I moved here, I thought it was a cultural wasteland. I thought it was just Indianapolis at that time, literally. You could see the tumbleweeds roll down the street in downtown. There wasn't a lot going on.
Yeah.
And the arts were nowhere near they are now. And I had this theory, Don, that, you're a transplant, but I think people like you came from other places. And rather than wallow in despair or disappointment, people just sort of created.
Yeah.
Or they brought what they had wherever they came from and made it happen here. And that's what I always loved about it. That's when I say startups can happen here. And they're still going on.
Yeah, and that's exciting to see.
All these young theater companies, but that's always been the case. They come and they go. But I'm seeing some smaller theater companies that are really.
Who's standing out to you?
American
the new ones
Lives Theater.
American Lives.
Catalyst Repertory. They're doing great things. Well, I've vested interest in Catalyst because we partnered with Catalyst, Magic Red Cabaret. We did Streetcar Named Desire.
Yeah, I heard about that. That's the
Mm-hmm.
bad thing about an arts organization or running it, is that when you're programming, it all happens at the same time, and you got to clone yourself in order to get out and see other stuff.
Monday night industry night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think the market's large enough to do a Monday night industry night here? They do that in New York City. I remember when I was living in New York, they would do that.
Yeah, I think, why not?
You think so?
Sure. Yeah. It depends on the venue, though.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
Yeah, and as you know, as a managing director, there's costs associated with it all.
Exactly. But I wish we could get to a point where people could see other people's shows. Yeah. It's not always possible, though, so.
Yeah, that's true. What, you're also obviously a critic. You've been in theatrical critical writing for a number of years. What do you think makes a good critical writer?
I prefer I prefer to call myself a reviewer. I don't consider myself a critic.
Okay.
And I see it, critics are those who comment or review brand new work in New York City. Those are critics.
Okay, yeah.
I see stuff that probably, at this stage in my career, I'm seeing stuff like 3 or 4 times, multiple times. I mean, that's like, comes with the territory now. I mean, people regurgitate the old stuff, and so I've seen many things multiple times. You know what? I like to think that my perspective is informed more by my background in television. I see myself more as a reporter, and I report. I report not only what's going on stage, but I also like to comment or report on the audience's reaction. But then there's my TV background, which informs my writing too. So I have that journalism background as well. And I always like to infuse a bit of education in my reviews. I like to maybe spend a few sentences talking about when the show premiered, maybe something about the playwright. I never dwell on the plots. That used to drive me crazy when I'd see reviewers just going on and on about
book
the plot.
report.
Spoiler.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So I try to keep mine just sort of brief and concise, and then I think what sets me apart from other reviewers is because I'm an actor. I've been on stage, I've been on television, I've been in films, been in front of the camera, behind the camera. I know I'm very confident in my opinions about acting, and I think that I like to think that I'm respected for that because I've done it. They say, if you can't do it, you teach. I think the same thing in people who comment on performances. That's really easy unless you've actually done it and you understand the craft.
Yeah, I think being well-rounded to see all aspects of how. I was interviewing Jeff McDermott a couple of weeks ago, and he talked about when he started as this president and CEO to be able to kind of have that undercover boss type of, to be able to experience so many different aspects of what it takes to put on a production at the Palladium or Tarkington. And I think that that's a great thing, and that perspective of all of the different seats on the bus that you've been in, whether you're driving the bus, whether you're a passenger on the bus, this seat or whatever, using that type of metaphor. But I think that definitely informs.
I like to think that sets me apart from other people who do what I do, is that my perspective is, I'm grounded in all of these professional sort of backgrounds that I have had direct involvement in. So
when you watch a play or a musical, is there a favorite place in the theater you like to sit? Because it does say on the aisle. Do you like to sit on the aisle?
Not everyone's familiar with that term. Maybe you are, because back in the day, they would put reviewers on the aisle because then they had to oftentimes leave before the show was over so they could get to the newspaper office so that they could write their reviews in time to go to press to be printed in the morning.
And people waiting up until 2, 3 o'clock in the morning when they run out.
Always placed on the aisle. So when I thought of what to call my column, and I'm promoting it, that's sort of my branding now. I'll tell you my internal secrets, business secrets, but I'm trying to move away from being my column being referred to as a blog. Yeah. Because I think blog insinuates that it's sort of an amateur kind of hobby thing. It's anything but. I work very hard to, I have a copy editor. I have checks and balances. I want whoever reads my column anywhere in the world to see that it's professionally written, that it could be read anywhere and I want to be taken seriously. So that's why I'm calling it, my column. And also in a column, you can use first person. When I wrote for Nuvo or The Star or everybody else, I never could use first person. And now that's quite wonderful because now I can share my personal experience. I can use I statements. Well, I did this or I did that. And I can refer to, I can also infuse my personal viewpoint. And that's not unlike the columns of the old days, like Walter Winchell and Hedda Hopper, all those folks. Yeah. You want to get in someone's column because it could help your career or help your play or whatever. Sell tickets even.
Mr. Confidential, like we did, they're getting the magazine. Only bad news or bad thing is when they're not talking about you. I think it's one of those things, right? What do you think when you're watching a play or a musical? What do you think makes a good play or musical?
Well,
when you walk away, you go, "Wow, that was a great experience because of
It's art. It's so subjective. What I like,
Right.
other people may not, care for this book or the score.
Mhm.
It just has to. For me, it just has to move me, and it just has to get. Well, sometimes though, I can see something that I don't particularly agree with the point of view, but
Mhm.
it really, if it shakes me off, then to me it did its job.
Mhm.
For instance.
Mhm.
The Lombardi piece that you did, we exchanged
Yep.
comments about that.
Yeah.
I thought it was a tremendous piece of writing, but I simply could not stand the character but again, in my column, I was able to explain
Yes.
my personal point of view and how, because of my own background, the way I was raised and that sort of thing. So, yeah. But back to your question, I just have to be. The book, the writing is very, very important to me. And when it comes to musicals, I have to, and again, it's so subjective. I have to really like the score and what it represents. But for the most part, there are very few musicals that I can say that I haven't liked. I love musicals. So
Yeah.
what's not to like?
Yeah.
Really, I mean, when I think of musicals, when people say, "Oh, I hated that," I don't. That's ridiculous. I could never judge a piece of art based on that. There's always something that I can find that's redeemable, or if it's not the book or the musical, I can always find a performance or
There's
even
something
the
good to
lighting
take
design.
Sure.
I'm not Pollyanna, but I want to be positive. I truly am an advocate first and a journalist second. My mission is to promote the arts and artists. That's my thing.
And you've been doing a great job of that. Do you have any advice for future reviewers, people who might want to get into this, high school students or college students?
It's so important for this. It's so important for arts journalists to continue to report, as I have been doing on live performance. I cover music, theater, and dance, and so it's very important that we have. Well, they're mostly bloggers who are doing it because, as you know, there's so little arts coverage. This is a sports town, as you know. And you remember the days when the Indianapolis Star had a full-page entertainment section.
The Thursday edition, I believe it was, and that was exciting. Where the IBJ did that, Lou Harry doing that. That was amazing.
When you came to town, was Charles Staff still writing for Indianapolis?
It was Nick Cruz who was writing. I think at the time he had just.
And also the morning critic, I'm blanking. You know who I'm talking about. But yeah, one time we had two critics, afternoon and the morning newspaper. And we had the IBJ, and so yeah.
I was at home, my mom was here for a little bit. I just drove her home during the holiday weekend back to Georgia. And while I was down there, what do you want to do, Mom? And we were looking at movies. And what was going. So and then I click on trailers. And when I watch a movie trailer, you're talking about, the reporting on a show and the book report thing giving away the spoilers. I feel like a lot of the movies do that because it feels like when you watch a trailer, you kind of already experienced, you've got a really good feel as to what kind of ride you're going to have when you see the show. But, movies, by the nature of movies, that's what they do. But do you think that would be helpful I don't even know how that would be accomplished, just given the scheduling that theater does, professional theater. But we try to do the best we can. We have a wonderful team here with Megan Associates and Philip Peluso and Medium Cool Pictures and Scott Osborne. These guys are great. These guys right here. Yeah, got thumbs up from those guys. But, and they do a great job, but that's once we're into rehearsal. So by that time, that type of being able to give a trailer of a show, I don't know. I've always thought, I was like, how do we get across to get more people aware about what a show is that they may not be, not like a Hello Dolly where everybody goes, oh, I know what that is.
Well, but There is a trend toward local. Some of even the smaller companies are doing trailers on a regular basis on Facebook and social media. You guys are doing that yet?
Well, we are doing some of that, but not like, because by the time we've already gone through the whole rehearsal process to actually do B-roll.
You know, I put on my producer's hat
yeah.
in this particular case. There's no reason why you can't do a trailer with rehearsal footage.
Yes.
With a good voiceover, rehearsal footage. It works.
And Philip does a great job of that.
Yeah.
We do that. We do that, right? Don't we, Philip? Yes, sir, we do.
But I see because the availability of technology and social media, more and more arts companies are utilizing video for promotional purposes on social media.
It's a tricky thing too, because we have an agreement with Actors Equity Association. So union wise, and that's one of the things I think from a producer's standpoint, trying to get the word out to the public and letting people know, come try this out, try out the story. We're storytellers. We're telling a story you don't know. Take a chance with that, and
you know, to blow my own horn, it's important for your audience to know that what sets me apart from my shall I say, my colleagues, not competitors, because I don't really see myself. I more compete with myself, frankly. I'm on Lifestyle Live. That gives me an opportunity to promote my column and vice versa. So you know, I really learned how to utilize them both, and then having that television coverage gives me an opportunity to promote your theater and others, and that's why I always insist, send me video. Because it's the medium.
You can be able to have that playing while you're doing your segment.
Well, the medium is it's not effective as just talking heads.
Right.
So you want to promote.
People want to see.
You want to promote your stuff. Try to find some video to send to me rather than just still photographs of your logo. So that's a tip. If you want.
There you go. You hear that?
Send me your video.
Send that video. Get on it. I can't, on behalf of all the other arts organizations in Central Indiana, thank you so much for what you do. It really is a beautiful community here, and it takes everybody working together, and you add your spotlight is so important, and everybody I know appreciates that.
Well, thank you. And for me, I hate using the word, but for want of a better word, I try to, for me, it's about, I want to give people breaks. Someone gave me a break, so I'm constantly paying it forward.
Pay it forward,
that's
it mentioned in the, let's see, this is with Magic Thread Cabaret, through his work with he and his business partner, Dustin Klein, scout and discover emerging artists and incubate their career development.
Love it.
That's amazing.
I love giving people breaks. I love discovering new talent. Everyone's got a great idea, but as you know, it takes someone to produce it. It takes money. And,
there is that.
I like to say we provide soup to nuts. You need a script written for your show. You need a theme. You need a set list. We can get your musicians, all professional. We can find the venue. We market. We find the funds. We can do it all. Just tell us what you need, and then you got a show. You've got photos. You've got video. You got a show. You can take it. You can do the show again here in Indy. You have your own package show, and you can take it to another market, and we love that. We've done, think about 15 cabarets, including 4 indie fringe shows. So I'd love to tell you about our upcoming indie fringe show.
Please do, What you got coming up?
We're doing a show, an original that Dustin and I have created. I'm writing a script. It's actually a review, and these are 50-minute shows at Indie Fringe. Broadway's Bad Girls. So we have cast 4 Broadway belters, Broadway-style flavored belters, vocals, and we're doing shows, musicals that feature villainesses. So all your favorites: Ursula, Miss Hannigan. Who's the villainess in Agatha? Not Agatha, the Australian musical. Anyway, Velma and Roxy from Chicago. what's her name, who murdered the journalist at Sunset Boulevard.
Oh,
Norma.
yeah.
Norma Desmond. She's in it. So it's going to be
That
fun.
sounds like fun. And when is
That
that?
will be during Indie Fringe's Theater Festival. We don't know the dates yet, but we'll be doing 4 shows.
Okay.
So
And then the venue will also be told at that time too.
yeah, we won't be able. I don't think they're going to announce the venue until early June. But we've been in the last 5 Indie Fringes, and with Broadway's Bad Girls, we're going to develop it into a 90-minute show that will be a part of. Well, I can't announce it yet, but we're excited that we're going to be on someone's season. So I'll just
That's amazing.
keep guessing who that might be. So yeah.
Well, way to go, Tom. This gentleman, mover and shaker. He keeps on moving. You'll see him out at the theater. You'll see him at the dance concerts, at the music festivals, as well as behind the scenes putting together shows down there at Indie Fringe. Tom, I really appreciate you spending your time with us today.
You should know this by now. Sometimes it's odd, sometimes it can be uncomfortable, sometimes it's awkward. For the most part, no one else does what I do, all the things I do, but at the same time, my life intersects with so many other artists in the community, and I'm one of the few people that I can say that I have friendships with most of the people I cover. It's tricky though, it's sometimes it can be a bit awkward to keep professional distance, and yet at the same time, I don't know if I don't know that I could do it any other way. I think I do a better job of covering because I have close personal relationships with everybody I cover. I like to think that I'm able to be objective. And I'm never mean-spirited. I never infuse my ego in anything I write about. So I like to think that counts for something.
It certainly does. Well, thank you so much, Tom.
Thank you for
We'll
having
see
me.
you on the aisle with Tom Alvarez at a theater near you. Thanks again so much for being with us, my friend. Have a great time, and I will see you. Oh, so what we have coming up, big tickets are going like hotcakes right now for $1 Million Quartet. 2 nights only at the Palladium, June 16th and 17th. Go to 317-843-3800 or atistage.org to grab your tickets while you can. This is a great way to celebrate Father's Day. I can't think of a better show to celebrate Father's Day than $1 Million Quartet at the Palladium, June 16th and 17th. We hope to see you there. And until next week, I'll see you again for another episode of Lunch Break with ATI. Thanks so much, guys.